If you're waiting, you're fucking up. And so that's why action is going to be one of the biggest moderating variables.
I mean, listen, we're just going to keep trying. No need to be perfect about it. Ha! See what I did there? Why perfectionism is slowing you down. Why perfectionism is getting you in the way of growing the business you desire. Why perfectionism sucks. This is what we do before every episode, guys, in case you are listening in and Michelle decides to keep this clip in this video just because, you know, we want to be a little more real, socially connecting and entertaining. Because if you know either of us, we're not serious all the time, just some of the time. So
no, not even.
But
if we're serious, something's really going awry.
That's true. But no, so we are going to be talking today about the idea of perfectionism, and I think I'm going to kick this one off with most people probably don't even realize they're trying to be perfect. I feel like it's one of those situations where you just have this level of expectation in your head that everything you do should be a certain level, and somebody outside looking in is going to say, well, I feel like you're not taking action because you're working so hard on being perfect. And that person's like, they're just going to be surprised by that. They're not even going to understand it per se, which is probably the harder issue at hand here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of ways to avoid stuff, which is a maladaptive coping mechanism. And whether perfectionism is helping you make sure you get the fine details correct, or whether it's crippling you so badly that you're not even launching your dream career, business, brand, whatever it is, there's a lot of different reasons why this stuff exists. So we're going to dive into a lot of that today. And, you know, honestly, you're probably just using it as a scapegoat to not be responsible for nurturing and managing and bringing to market the thing that you actually really care about, but don't want to be vulnerable and put, put yourself out there. So there's a bottom line up front.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess we're done. It's 2:47.
If you listen to nothing else in this episode, that right there is like, hey, you're just avoiding the thing. So some type of broken mechanism of coping based upon trauma. And everybody in 2025 has trauma, apparently. It's the key word.
It's a procrastination thing, really. I mean, they're like, oh, I got to tweak this one thing before I go out and start. Or coaches, right? Coaches in the health industry are notorious for needing another certification or learning about one more thing before they take on
How
more
many
clients.
certifications would you say is too many, Andrew?
There is no limit. The limit does not exist. I mean, to get coaching and to get your thing off the ground, you just need one. You just need one. You should always keep learning. I mean, there should be really, but if you're waiting to take action, then the answer is two is too many.
Fair. For those of you that don't know,
I would say, yeah.
My favorite moment of Andrew when we were still like new acquaintances, work colleagues at that point in time. And he's in front of a room of
like 3 months in,
I don't know, 200 people or something like that.
250 people.
Doing a presentation. He's like, hey, I'm Andrew. And if you don't know me, blah, blah, blah. He goes through this whole thing and he shows a slide with all of his certifications. And imagine like a literal like 15-foot screen with like size 13 font on it with like 70 certifications listed. And it wasn't on any level meant to be like a true like, hey, here, I'm super important. It was meant to relay like I am knowledgeable, but in a very funny way. And it definitely landed that way. And I'll always remember that. So so I always just kind of bust Andrew's chops on the absurd amount of certifications that he's gone through. If you ever need test prep help, Andrew's probably the guy because we know he's taken a lot of tests. Different subject though, but yeah, I think I think when you talk about it and the whole, if you're waiting for your second certification before you start, it probably is too much because when you're thinking about the opportunity to learn something, certifications in that example are a great way to learn a very base level knowledge. but it still comes down to just the practice of applying. And more importantly, the art of coaching is going to be more around the idea of psychology connecting with being a good coach, because you can know all the shit in the world. If you don't know how to actually get a person to do the things they need to do in order to be successful, your knowledge doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
100%.
And I think it's,
100%.
I see it a lot these days, and I'm getting my logo done and my website done, and I'm doing all of these things. And it's not to say that those aren't important, but like a day, like get a basic landing page with a logo done in a day, and then like just go like a
A
day, a
day, Stephen. A
100% a
day.
day. But,
A
well, but here,
day.
context, a context. You're busy, and you're the only thing you do for the entire day is spend 8 hours building those two things. Just saying.
Listen, for those of you that have never built a landing page, it's not a fucking
It
day
is.
long endeavor. What you're hearing is the effort paradox, which means that when someone says it's easy or they make it look easy, a lot of effort went into that. There's a great story where a guy goes in to fix a naval submarine. It's a nuclear submarine. I've been on the fritz, and yeah, the captain takes him down to the heater or the little water boiler, and the guy looks at it, probably like 30 seconds or so, walks over and like takes a hammer and taps in one screw, and the guy's like $15,000. And the captain's like, $15,000? I could have done that for, $1. And the guy's like, yeah, you're not paying for my action. You're paying for my experience to know what that thing is. And so when Steve says it's a 1 day endeavor, I'll tell y'all what, it took me like 4 days to figure that shit out. Man, and that was with
Andrew,
Chat GPT.
and
I'll tell you what, you looking at a
Andrew,
blank canvas? That's
Andrew.
sorry.
I'm gonna.
four
You are
days.
whimsically amazing at certain things. You, you are. You
Button clicking
you
ain't
are
my thing.
whimsically not amazing at other things. I built three
That's
landing
simple.
page templates in 2 hours. You only need one basic.
Guys,
All right,
guys. There's things called
all right. Two
assets, and I
days.
will say
2 days.
this
Does
and
that make you
couch
feel
this.
better? Landing page
There's things.
logo. 2 days.
Listen. Okay, we'll average our times out. He takes 2 hours. I take
2
4 days. So
days.
2 days seems
So,
reasonable. 2 days seems if you've never done it. But the second time I've done it and going through the website and building out the pages of the website, like for those of you that haven't checked it out, go to beyondthepump.com. Sick, right? More details. Stay up to date. We're figuring out how to put the podcast on there and everything else. But the second time it took me a day. The third time in the third page, probably like 2 hours, 3 hours. And so it just gets faster and faster. But if I put it off and was like, let me go watch a GHL video, or let me go watch a ClickFunnels video on YouTube, and let me go through this course and all that shit, like I never would have built anything.
yeah, just
Granted, I need a little bit of pressure, but
just get it out there.
whatever.
And it's again, as the example. And
Get it out
the big thing becomes, because I also don't want this to be misconstrued as like it's permission to throw garbage out there and throw things that aren't meaningful
there.
or wrong or incorrect, right? So perfectionism in my mind is like 90, 95, 100% of like perfect, right? Good, better, best. This is like best plus. It's not needed when you're starting out. It also doesn't mean you're not going to come back to it, though, right? When we think about good, better, best, good in my mind is a solid 70% plus. Better is 85% plus. Best is probably 95% plus. So, how do we get to that 70% where people get it, they understand it, and then you can go down there using the landing page as the example? Here's the crazy thing: nobody is searching for your landing page and your website when you're first in business. You're not going to. No one's finding you that way. You shouldn't be, in my most honest opinion, if you're a coach listening to this podcast, spending advertising dollars to send somebody to your website. So when you're not sending that cold traffic who's unaware and they've yet to meet you through a different medium, let's say, then the website doesn't need to be perfect. It's not going to be the first impression they get of you. It's the part of the funnel. Now you get big enough and you're a Tesla and you are, you're going after all these people that have never shaken hands with Elon Musk and all these components. Well, guess what? Your website's got to be pretty darn impeccable, right? So now we need to get to best.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what a lot of people forget. We have a client that we're getting to coach, And he told me about his website endeavor. And I was like, yeah, I want to go and I want to build this really amazing website. And I'm like, I get it. I love a good website, right? Like I completely do, but you have no resources to send anybody there. You have no organic presence whatsoever, nothing on social media. So no one's going to get there. And you think you're going to outrank some of the big companies right now in terms of SEO in days? Like it doesn't work that way. And it just takes time and algorithms to pick it up. So to sit here and focus all of your efforts on this really cool website build, it just doesn't logically make sense to solve the immediate problems. Now, Steve, if I build a nice website in 3 years, it'll be great. And if I wait, 6 months, then it'll be 6 months and 3 years to get there. 100%. 100%. But you know what? Doesn't matter. If you can't make it to 6 months because your business doesn't grow or you don't make any money because you decided
Mm-hmm.
to spend all your time on a website that no one's going to find you by. And this is just
Yeah.
the example, right? The coaching side of things. If you don't start learning delivery of services, you're never going to be able to adjust. So stop getting fucking certifications because you can only cram so many. Like, how many
Except for ours,
changes should somebody make in a singular programming session, Andrew? Like, keep it like 80 to 100 different changes,
like a week to week. I mean, week to week, you're only
not
making
80
one
or 100.
change. Oh, I
Yeah,
mean, yeah,
yeah.
if
I
you're a
just
pro.
like if you're gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
amazing at it, 80 to 100, nothing less. But like, obviously a joke. But when you're meeting with somebody, it's like your job as a coach in that scenario is to know their next step, which means you only need to stay like 3 steps ahead of them and know what has to happen there from a knowledge standpoint. And if you take that path of like, all right, what are the likely potential maybes of the 3 next places they could go? Make sure you understand all 3 of those in depth, and then you're good. Like, don't worry about that
Mm-hmm.
high level, next level thing because it's probably
Mm-hmm.
irrelevant to that client's journey.
Well, and I also think that there's something to be said around the familiar versus unfamiliar and the unknown. Where when you look at systemic racism, there was, and not to make this political, but you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna make. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Everybody, settle down. No, but like there was a lot of, there was a lack of knowing. There was a lack of familiarity. There was a lack of. There's just a fear of the unknown, which then created a whole slew of weird behaviors amongst different types of people and different groups of people, I should say. And it's no different than I remember one of my very first consulting calls with a small business owner. He's trying to launch his coaching company, and it was like 20, it was late teens, early 20s. And it was like a 2 hour call. And the guy was, his name,
You were on a
God, this was
2 hour
one of my
call.
favorite people, actually, as I say. Yeah, I know, surprising. Um, but hey, listen, it was a 2 hour office hour call. He was available. He was open to take up however much time no one else came. So I was like, all right, cool. So we chatted and he was like, well, I want to get out of doing, I think he was in the ministry industry, right? Religious type of figure. I think he was a previous pastor or something like that. And he wanted to get in the health and fitness industry. And he was really struggling to reconcile putting a foot into a different industry and a different skill set and all this other stuff, making it seem like it was very unfamiliar, when in reality, he should have been looking at, and this is what we coached him to, reconcile the new stuff with the old stuff, and then basically turn around and add it to his consulting business, where he then turned around and helped other types of spiritual leaders become physically adept at being leaders as well, not just the mental and the spiritual side of the house. So I think a lot of people, when it comes down to trying something new, is that they look at it from a student mentality, and that student perspective is going to be like, I don't know, I need someone to guide me, I need someone to help me figure this out, leading to a massive erosion of confidence. But if people walked into something new and looked at, well, what do I already know how to do? What's already familiar to me? And how do I distill this into the essential elements that I've already operated against for decades, years, or months, right? So when we talk about coaching, we've tried to influence people's behaviors well before our first client. We try to get our parents to do certain things, as kids. We try to get our spouses, our partners, like we're always trying to influence out. Yeah, 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 oh, for sure. For sure. There's always that influence battle. We will talk about relationships in the future. But when it comes to like those dynamics, that should be a common thread against every single thing. And that should be something that If you've worked on that skill and you start to think, well, how would I treat a client similar to a previous partner? Do I have experience interacting with this type of person? It becomes significantly easier. And so you got to figure out what your life kind of philosophy is, or who you are as a person, what your value set is. What do you believe in? And if you just take that into every single new experience, you're going to be more comfortable in your own skin. You're going to know what you are willing to tolerate, what you're not willing to tolerate. And that at least gives you a firm footing versus going into something completely unknown. You don't know yourself, you don't know the situation, and you don't know the other party. That's where things get really weird. But if you know at least one of those three things, you're going to come in and be a little more confident in at least having 33% control of the situation, in my
Yeah,
experience.
and I think as we talk about the idea of avoiding perfectionism, it comes down to
Mm-hmm.
recognizing and just admitting, all right, I push comes to shove, could you have launched and done the thing that you like are working on
Yeah.
already? The answer oftentimes is yes, right? Like it just unless it's truly a function of like time of just absolute brutal know-how. Like there are some scenarios where it's just I need to figure it out, i.e.
Yeah.
you probably shouldn't be a chiropractor if you've never gone to chiropractic school, right? Like we just we we
Yeah, please
we
don't.
know certain things. So that's stuff that it's like, all right, let's make sure we have those bases kind of covered. But
Mm-hmm.
outside of that, if you should have or could have launched it already, then just go do the thing. Maybe it's a new offer, maybe it's a business, maybe it is the website, maybe it's putting your like I'm terrible at taking content of myself and like putting it out to the world because it looks terrible. Like I'm like, oh, just so dumb. And
Mm.
I'm like, all right, well,
Feels
how do I
weird. Feels
overcome
contrived.
this? Well, all right, I'm gonna just hire somebody. I'm gonna give them the stuff, and they're just gonna post it. I'm not even gonna know what's going on because then I can't not hit the button because somebody else's job is to literally hit the button. Like this morning, I was like, I'm gonna go do a Facebook story and just like throw something out there quick and just see what happens. The weird shit is on the other side of things. I think I've got like 13 or 14 messages of people doing the thing that I was like, oh, you should go try this too. Here's my result. And I'm like, oh, okay, people actually do watch a story. Like, all right, not everybody hearts it, but am I doing it for the hearts or am I doing it for the
That's
fact
a
that
weird point.
somebody sees it and they might learn something out of it? And today was one of those massive proof days of, oh, people do watch your shit. And I'm like, all right, got to do it. Or yesterday, I sent you a screenshot
Mm-hmm.
and we're sitting here, we're chugging along in this podcast, and I mean, guys, we don't have it all figured out. In case you didn't notice, Andrew nearly died on the last episode because he was choking half the way through. There's just so much stuff that we know, hey, we're going to get better at. But for us, it was a just start, just dig in, and just be consistent and show up and do the content. And oddly enough, some person I have no idea who they are, we are not connected through any prior relationships, messaged me on Instagram saying, hey, I really want that resource for the automated outbound method. I think that'd be helpful. And I'm like, cool. Like one person reached out, like somebody's listening, somebody gained some knowledge, and that's amazing. And all of a sudden it makes that whole like, okay, we're just good right now so worth it that it kind of promotes that. All right, what is the one or two things we can tweak to go to better? How do we elevate the game?
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find those little things along the way, along your trail, along the journey, now telling you, all right, cool, invest more time, move from good to better, and put those things out there. But if you never start, you'll never learn any of that stuff. And it
Mm-hmm.
is hard to continue doing a thing with no lessons learned on the other side.
100%. Well, and it's also too, there's a function of your environment, which means you want to get connected to a community. There's a lot of actors that actually prefer live theater performances. They prefer to be on Broadway despite getting paid less because there's a live audience. They have something to reconcile their performance against. They know they can read the room, they can feel the energy, they can key this up, they can tone that down. When you're behind a screen, it's just you, the crew, and like that's it. You have no idea if you're going to do well, if you're not going to do well. And that's a terrifying prospect for people to feel like they're throwing effort after effort out with no clear return on someone appreciating your work. So, Steve mentioned like no one might heart it. This is actually a call to action for you guys in terms of the feedback that you give people, whether it's a heart or a thumb or whatever it is, might be the difference for someone continuing to follow their passion or for them to continue to refine their craft. You're not responsible for the outcome, but it is helpful for you to support other creators' work. So please do that if you do see someone that is familiar. If I see any people that I happen to have ever coached, anyone in my program, without even listening to the content, I'll just double tap it. And then if it's interesting, I'll actually watch it, but I'm just there to support their own growth and their own development. And it's a nice little thing to be like, oh, okay, my old professor, my old teacher, my old mentor saw that and like they appreciated it. So you do have an obligation if you want people to engage with your content to also be supportive with getting out there and engaging with theirs as well. Is why it's called social media. And you need to be patient with that because a lot of people don't realize that Van Gogh, the famous painter, painted like 2,600 some odd, or like not painted, excuse me, he made like 2,600 plus different pieces of art, 800 plus pieces of paintings. What, I don't know what the fuck they're called. But, anyways, but like oil based paintings. And do you know how many he sold during his actual lifetime when he was cruising around? He sold one for $400. That's it. 800, and he sold one while he was alive. Do you know what happened after he died? Blew up. And so when you think about leaving a good legacy, that's really what perfectionism is always at odds against, is that it will have you not create something that the world should know you and remember you for so long because you want to get it right versus getting it right as you go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great analogy. I didn't even realize that about Van Gogh, to be honest. But I mean, stuff like that, you hear stories similar to that all the time, and people
Mm-hmm.
didn't even know who was listening, who was watching, who was doing, and they were able to go out and impact somebody's
Oh.
life in such a way that that's how their thing blew up. And it's all of us, especially if you're here hanging out with us, like we're looking for that level of how do
Mm-hmm.
I influence and positively impact somebody else's life that we can go out and do the thing. And it's, I mean, even in coaching, there's what, a little over 100,000 coaches or something like that, they say, in the world, or some version thereof. And there's like 8
Mm-hmm.
billion people in the world. Like when you do the
Yep.
math, let's take out like half of the people. Let's get rid of 4 billion people because they're too old or too young. Let's get rid of another half because they're self motivated to go do the thing, stay in shape, and everything else in between. So we're getting rid of 75%. That means there's 2 billion people out there that are capable of being helped by 100-ish thousand people, right? So we start doing math like, is it possible for you to go out and find 20 people that your unique skill set and experience can go help? Like, that's, if there's 100,000 of us and we're going to go find 20 people each, like we all just need 20 million people. There's a lot out there. And my 8 billion and 100,000 are rough numbers. I know they're not far off, but it's proving the point where the whole, why should I start? Who can I help? All these things. You have a super unique experience. You just have to find the right way to communicate with the right people and have that conversation. I mean, Andrew, I called you this morning. I'm like, hey, dude, we might have another client, and getting a coach and
Never seen
everything
this
like that.
happen before in my life.
And if you know me, I spend no money. I'm terrible on organic. I spend no money on marketing. But my thing that I do is I just create relationships and I maintain contact, and I'll just go put myself in a room, as painful as networking feels to me, and a relationship that I've had for, man, 3 years now at this point in time. Even got to help them with their business for a little bit. He's like, hey, I got a referral for you. Here's the business. Are you interested? I'm like, yeah, of course. Amazing. And like, I've driven out to a whole nother state to literally go have pizza for lunch with this person. But it's but it just, that's my growth world where, I get a chance and I create those connections. So however it is you're going to go obtain some clients, even if it's a super unpredictable, I'm just going to put a lot of good karma out there and hope on the back end somewhere that, that I can help somebody, then like, that's a, all right, hey, keep doing your thing. So, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not
Yeah.
perfect. It's not the most amazing thing ever out there. Just, we got to go out and find our tribe of people that we can help, we can influence. And if we don't start doing the things that we're naturally bad at because we've never done them before, we're never going to have that opportunity. And through the lessons, through the journey, you get to learn so much that you start to even forget the fact that, like, oh, only this many people saw it or liked it or commented or sent an email or DM'd me or whatever. It's like, oh no, I actually enjoy getting to do whatever the thing is that you get to do.
Yeah. I mean, and to give you a frame of reference, we've only had like one or two people that have actually been able to gather the information, but we were doing an audit recently, and it turns out it took this individual 23 pieces of content to generate one new client. Right. So when you think about that for a second, like how long does it take for you to produce 23? And are those 23 very potent? Do they back into something? Like there's a whole bunch of if this then that's, but put out 23 pieces of content and see if you convert anything. Now you do have to ask at least once in those 23 pieces. But I mean, play the Van Gogh game. Go post 800 times and see if you get one person, and then that's a lot. But at the same time, and you do have a lot more ability to penetrate the market and to get up in there, and get your stuff seen because you do have technology and you can use that to your advantage. However, that means that when you do shit, because we are suggesting that you definitely get out there, start doing things that are going to move in the general direction. If you want to lose weight, you weigh 800 pounds, you're not exercising, you're not eating anything that you should be eating, you're over consuming hyperpalatable foods that taste way too good. Maybe the first thing you do isn't walk 10,000 steps. Maybe the first thing you do is just drink less Coca-Cola, or maybe we replace like every third Coke with a water. Do you have to have a super dialed in macronutrient prescription with a highly periodized training plan that's in a quadrennium format? No, you don't. You just start with the simple things. And then as you get dialed in, which means you pay attention, what are you doing? What are you getting? What are you doing? What are you getting? What are you doing? What are you getting? And it's just a never ending cycle of that on the path to accomplishing whatever it is. But the key thing in there is you have to remember, what are you doing? And if you're not doing anything, then you're going to get nothing or more of the same. And so that's why action is going to be one of the biggest moderating variables to determining if you're going to be successful or not.
Yeah, I think as we were going through
Mhm.
different names of podcasts way back when, action was one of those words that we really honed in on. It
Yeah.
was any change towards improving one's norm, and
Yep.
the reality is that that's all action is just make those changes,
Mm-hmm.
but don't leave those changes just sitting idle in your world under this safety net of no one's going to judge me. A lot of times we fear the judgment, so we don't put the thing out there, because guess what? Next to somebody else's website, next to somebody else's coaching program, next to somebody else's social media profile, next to somebody else's workout program, next to somebody else's ability to cook a ridiculous meal and do some meal prepping for the week, that's like, the healthy, high protein, low fat, low carb version of bang bang shrimp, your shit sucks. But on the flip side of that, you just need to go out and start in order to get better. And a lot of people allow that whole I need to be perfect to get in the way before they just do it. And this is just literally your call to action. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just go start taking some steps in that forward progress on the thing you've been working on. Put it out there and just be like, hey, I'm listening to this episode today, whatever today is for you. By the end of tomorrow or by the end of this week or whatever the right time frame is, quick. Don't say by the end of the month. Don't say by the end of the year, unless it's like December 30th. But quick, how quickly can you get that thing out the door and start going and just getting some data and feedback loops so you understand how you can improve it from there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you want more tactical than that, write down every single thing that you should be doing to get towards that thing. Like if you're like, okay, cool, I want to launch my own business. And let's say you want to open up a recovery center, right? I don't know shit about opening a recovery center, but there's probably, you need to find some space, that, which means that you need to find some equipment, right? That. You start with the things that and then you add like 3 or 4 things underneath each one of those things. So under your items that you need to acquire, like, okay, let's say you got to go find a space. Cool, what city do you want to be in? Right now, that's going to inform you to then figure out, well, where is the most money located? Where are the people that I want to work with mostly co-located? Okay, cool. Where is there a demand for this? Where is there competition for this? Like, and you start to dig into all that stuff, but you wouldn't think about that until you wrote down location. Okay, where does that go? Same thing with equipment. What are people offering? What are they not offering? Okay, well, I wanted to have this. what does this place have? Okay, they have a hyperbaric chamber. Okay, well then I want a hyperbaric chamber, and then I want to do it in a bod pod. Like there's so many different things, but write down everything that you know, and then break those things down into some subcategories, and then try to cross off one or two things every day, if not every week. And I think that really that gives you at least a useful archetype and heuristic to start moving a little bit. So I think we've beaten the horse pretty dead on this one, but if you're waiting, you're fucking up.
We should just end like that. That should be
Lovingly,
that's
with
the
love.
line right there. That's the hooker.
That's the hooker.
Hook.
Yes. Fucking, I don't have many talents in life, but I'm good at hooking sometimes. Legs
Well,
behind head. Nope.
everybody, we appreciate you listening in. Hopefully this helps you. I'm willing to bet there's
Oh.
something that you just been slow playing in your life because you're waiting to make it better,
Mm-hmm,
and you're
mm-hmm,
probably not even really working on it.
mm-hmm.
So go do that thing. Like we said here,
We have one more thing.
show your support for those creators, which means like this episode, give it a
Uh-huh.
thumbs up, because guess what? That helps us
Sure.
know if some of this content is hitting, like Andrew said.
Yeah. Yeah. And we also, one more thing that in terms of being vulnerable and showing you guys that we do the same shit. We launched our nutrition certification, and it's going to be a drip campaign across the next 12 weeks. So if you guys want to go through that and you want to know what it's like to be a nutritional consultant, because we have a certified applied nutritional consultant certification that bleeds into a health coaching situation. But if you want to know what that's like, and you want to actually know how to do a nutrient assessment, if you want to know how to build those meaningful relationships with your clients, this is going to be the course for you. And we're doing an early bird discount for people that purchase as we build. So make sure you hit us up via the DMs, and we will get you that information. That landing page I was telling you guys about, right? That website, it exists, beyondpump.com. So if you want to go and track that down, the details are going to be on our certified certifications page, where you really get to understand why we exist. If you wanted just a refresher on that, and you can see all the courses that we're building and our loose launch dates for those. So pretty excited to bring those to the market. And again, like we're building messy like you guys. And so, if you want to show some love, we'd love the support. If you guys want to go engage, interact with that content as well, we'd really appreciate it.
Smash that subscribe button. Thanks for hanging out today. We are Beyond the Pump, where we break down the business of fitness and nutrition, and we will see you all next time.
Stay pumped.